I just want to put this out because I know a lot of people carry multi-tools, and this isn't really a great one. It's a cheap knockoff, Chinese knockoff. Well, it's Great Neck, whatever the hell that is. But they're not too bad, and it does have the knife on there, a couple screwdrivers, and all crap like that. Of course, your let me get this out of here. Your Phillips screwdriver and your bottle opener, right? But this is like a little saw too. But to be quite honest, you can get a bottle open with a knife, an ordinary knife. It's got to have enough blade on it. You can get a can open with a knife, even if it's not a Swiss Army knife. You could do it. You just punch through the can. I mean, it's not as easy. But normally you're not opening up a can, or especially even opening up a bottle. And the other thing is too, if you're trying to loosen or tighten a fastener with this damn thing, there isn't enough room in here a lot of times. With these screwdrivers, it's not like terrible, but I guess you can have it like that. It's not that bad. But a lot of times you can get the screw out with the vice grips, the needle nose vice grips. I really haven't used this tool that much in the 10 years I've had it. That's one of my points. But I always use, this knife is brand new, but I always use a knife, and I always use this thing a lot, the vice grips, especially for needle nose, because if you got a flathead screw, unless it's recessed, but even then you could still, a lot of times the screws you can get out with the blade, the tip of the blade. You're not supposed to do that, but you can do it. The serrated edge on here is very good, because sometimes, I think I demonstrated before, trying to cut through some of the heavy duty plastic zip ties, you'll be there all day trying to cut them through with this, whereas this serrated edge goes right through like butter. But a lot of times there's a lot of different uses for that serrated edge. But I found you're better off, to me, having a knife and the vice grips. And I know that's a little more bulk, but even like a Swiss Army knife or something, which I have, and the vice grips versus this. Now I know there's better multi-tools out there, but they're more bulk. And of course, these two together are more bulk than this, but individually, they're not. It's like, I'm not really, let me state the reason I'm saying I don't really like the multi-tool that much. And maybe it's because I don't have the best multi-tool, but I really don't use this. I don't use this damn thing. That's why I've decided I use knives. I use the vice grips, but I don't use this. And it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, it's got some wire cutters on it, but like I said, you can cut wires with this easy, especially with the serrated edge. You also got a little sawtooth on here too. And you can cut wires with this, of course. But this has a lot more power than these. There's just a hell of a lot more power to them. So, if you could, because I am not a fan of these I don't know. It's just me, man. Maybe it's just me. I know there's people that love multi-tools, but I don't really like them that much. I'll carry this. As a matter of fact, in my motorcycle, I got another novel thing. I'll probably dig it out right now. I'll show it to you. Like, I got to carry some tools on my bike. Usually sometimes a fastener breaks, and then I'll replace it with a grade 8 fastener. This is like a little gator tool, and I know these things are kind of like bullshit for everyday use. But, and this is a short-handled ratchet. But, if you're actually, first off, you're trying to get off its fastener or tighten a fastener with this damn thing, hang it up, man. This thing, I mean, to me, it's not much better than the thing that comes with the Swiss Army knife. It's kind of like real light duty stuff. These tiny vice grips would tighten a fastener a lot better than that. Because look how big it opens, right? This thing, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just enough to be kind of useless for, except putting together some, I don't know, like some cheap ass furniture or something you buy at Walmart or Kmart. But say you got a fastener with this, you could put it on like any kind of metric or SAE, it'll grab it. And I kept these lubed in here really good, and I keep this in a plastic bag so these don't get screwed up in the weather from the bike. And I know this is something not to really carry on your person, but it's good to carry on a bike. And on a bike, I actually have the vice grips, a regular true screwdriver that's a Phillips, and a regular screwdriver, and a knife. This is just enough to freaking be kind of useless in a lot of ways. Now, these are great, like I think if maybe for an electrician, if you got a specialized multi-tool or something like that, maybe that's great. But if you really need to fix something, this is just enough to be inadequate. So I'd recommend you actually take, and I like the needle nose vice grips because I think the needle nose, a lot of times a screw or something, like a screw with a flathead screw or a Phillips head, a lot of times there's just enough up there to grab them, and usually you can get them out with this. And once they get loose, you break them loose, you can get them with the knife. Just telling you, I don't know. I mean, I think certain people that are in certain trades really love this. I don't really like it as a quote-unquote survival tool in the real modern world, or even in the bushcraft world. That's really stupid to have that damn thing. If you have like a spool of wire, like with this, which would come in handy, you could do a lot more twisting the wires together than you could with this. I mean, I guess you could do it, but it's a lot easier to do with the vice grips. Plus, you got a more powerful wire cutter in it. That's another thing. Other things like, if you're going to be whittling down wood or something like that, you want a real blade that can do something versus this little dinky blade. And the other thing is, if you break this tool, it's one tool. I mean, it's one tool to freaking keep around, but if you break this tool, you got a problem. Whereas if you break one of these tools, you still got the other tool, right? But, the knife on this is tiny compared to another knife. I mean, if you're trying to pry with this knife or something, even though this is not a very high quality knife at all, it's a freaking $8 knife or $7 knife or something, it's a hell of a lot thicker and beefier than this damn thing. So, if you're actually going to be carrying something, I guess if it's one tool, multi-tool, maybe, right? Maybe. But like I said, I always found these things to be just inadequate enough to be useless. And so I always carry the vice grips and a knife. And like if I'm on a motorcycle or something, I got a full-size screwdriver, full-size Phillips screwdriver, and a regular. And I got this on the bike. Now in this little Suzuki SJ413 thing, I got a ratchet set and the vice grips, and it's a cheap ratchet set. It's just good for keeping in here, and also have what do you call it, the regular screwdriver and a Phillips screwdriver and a couple other tools like that. Like I said, these multi-tools, I think, I don't know who the hell, I know some people are into some trades. I guess an electrician might have a specialized multi-tool that's really great for stripping wires or something, but then again, I don't know. If you're an electrician, you're probably going to get something with the leather belt and have a whole bunch of tools on it versus this little bullshit. What I think these are good for is a lot of states where you're carrying a knife on you, concealed, or you're just carrying a knife. Even in New Jersey, where they don't like anybody carrying a knife for any reason other than hunting and fishing and having a real lawful purpose. Well, you can always come up with a rational reason why you have the multi-tool on you. It's not, and the rational reason wouldn't be just because I need it. I might need it for something. But you can always say, well, I'm going over somebody's house to fix something right now, and that's why I got this. You know. Or I did something on my car, and I'm not sure if it's going to hold, so I got that tool to tighten it down or put some baling wire on it, something like that. But that's one major advantage. Like if you got this in New Jersey, you're shit out of luck, man. I don't even know if you were carrying this I think you can own this in New Jersey, but if you were carrying this in New Jersey, forget it. You'd be like, wow, it's a dangerous blade. But if you're carrying the multi-tool, as long as you had a valid reason, which you can think of a million valid reasons, because it is a multi-tool. It's got screwdrivers and bottle openers and all this other shit on it. You can tell the cop what the valid reason is why you have it. It should be okay, theoretically, depending. But if you had this, I don't know. So that's the major reason, because it's in the eyes of the law in non-knife friendly states. This would be better to carry around. But as far as actually, I mean, it sucks for freaking, I mean, you can do something with wood with it. You can cut rope with it. You could do maybe minor tightening of bolts and stuff, or loosening of bolts, minors. You can open up a bottle with it, or a can. But most of the time, you don't need to open up a bottle because they're twist-off caps. And as far as opening a can, well, you can actually do it with the knife and these little needle nose vice grips, no problem too. It might be a little more problem, but it's not that difficult to do. The other thing is, when you have something like this, or especially something like this, and say you have this gripped around a fastener, you can smack this with a hammer like that and get it looser. Or sometimes you can use this as a hammer itself, the ratchet. I know it's carrying more weight. You wouldn't want to be carrying this in your pocket, but carrying these two, one on each side of your belt, one in your pocket on this side and one on this side, would be more advantageous than having this only. Like I said, I had this for 10 years and it's hardly been used that much. It's not the best one going, but I'm not a fan of multi-tools. It's like I need the real tool, and a vice grips to me is way better than this shit. And I guess if you have a vice grips multi-tool, maybe that's cool. I don't know. But then it gets so damn big that you're better off having the vice grips and the multi-tool and the knife. So, to tell you the truth, I rate this as a lousy quote-unquote survival tool because it's just crappy enough not to do the job. The Swiss Army knife, I would actually trust, but it's more compact than this, you know what I mean? Swiss Army knife. That's okay, as long as you don't get a really big one with too much crap on it. But as far as the utility of this with the type of screwdriver that's on there and stuff, it's not that good. It's not that good. You could break the screwdriver on here because it's just pinned in there, I mean, it's the bottle opener, but it's just pinned in there. Or can opener, it's a can opener. It's just pinned in there. It's not. If you're torquing this down really hard, I mean, it's not that strong. I mean, I guess you can get one that costs you $100-something, but to me, $100-something freaking multi-tool is a waste of money. I can get this for $10 and that for $10 and this for $10, and I could probably do more with it. So That's how I look at it. That's just my opinion. Everybody's got one. You know how that goes. But I don't know. I'm not too much of a fan of the standard multi-tool. You're better off just with vice grips. The vice grips and a good knife with a serrated edge. And this one I like because it's got the sawtooth back on it too. And you know, you can even have the straight edge K-bar with the serrated edge. You know, a K-bar with partial serrated edge in the smaller version, a 5 1/4 inch blade. That's not a bad deal too. And that thing is pretty strong. So anyway, just want to put that out there because sometimes I think they sell stuff with a lot of marketing and advertising. Like this thing actually is stupid for everyday use. It is asinine for everyday use. I don't think this would hold up very long. But it's good if you only got to use it 1 or 2 times because it does do just about every size metric and SAE fastener. That's why I have it in a motorcycle. I wouldn't use this as an everyday tool for shit. No way. But it's small enough to keep in a motorcycle in a saddlebag. But you know, you got to have a good enough tool to work, to do what you need to do. And the multi-tools, I think like electricians or something, or one of your main people that would be using that kind of shit, or maybe somebody working on some kind of electronics maybe, or something small, tinkering around. If you're doing something a little more heavy duty than that, it's kind of a it's not good enough to do the job. And maybe that's because of the way I've been more experienced with working on cars and trucks and motorcycles. And I'll never use a multi-tool fixing anything on that. And I don't see any much use for it for like you know, making a campfire or something like that, or even in a, you know, you want a real knife. You want a real knife. You don't want you actually want an axe instead of that, even a little axe instead of that thing. So it's just good enough to do real tiny shit, but it's not that great to keep on you. Don't be sold on the multi-tool, freaking this and that, and especially for the price, you know, $100 or some crap. Because the best ones out there, I believe, yeah, they really will hold up against a lot of abuse. But you know, if you got it for $100, you can get yourself a good axe, a sportsman's type axe, an S-wing. You can get yourself a small K-bar. You can get yourself a pair of vice grips, and maybe a camp saw. And you're saying, well, you got to carry more shit, but then you got the right shit to do the job. You know, so that's the way I figure it.